percentage?
No, I believe it was Councilman Matsu.
Okay, and who seconded it?
I did.
Okay. Alright, you're right.
Good. Roll call, please.
Councilman Livingston?
Present.
Councilman Taylor?
Present.
Councilman Pakistrat?
Present.
Councilman Matza?
Present.
President Scanlon?
Present.
It's 5 here, 2 absent. Scrooge is absent due to military leave, and Councilwoman Cox is absent.
So I'll make a motion to increase the city clerk and deputy city clerk salaries by 2.5%. And the numeric value of that is
The clerk is going to be plus 1,305, and the deputy clerk by 1,105.
And I'll second that.
And just, that comes from contingency.
from contingency, correct? Thank you.
How much money do we have for this?
30,000.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Oh, you can't say thank you. You
Any
might not be here.
opposed? Seeing none,
Thank you all.
You're welcome.
Very generous of you. We appreciate it.
we thought so.
Conrad
Any other
Conrad
questions
wanted
on
to
the
give you
pages?
20%, and I said no. I said 0.5%. So no.
So,
Okay.
Get your budget approved, hurry up.
Yeah.
is there anything else you guys have on the personal services line?
Any big changes in the animal control budget?
Do you want to skip to that, or you don't want to?
I'll go with
City clerk?
31.
I have a question on 31, actually.
Yes.
I know that New York State has passed a lot of changes to the election law, and I know the folks over at the County Board of Elections have been, a lot of long hours, doing a lot of work to update everything that they're doing over there. I'm curious to know what our general and primary election services really looks like, that it wouldn't be affected by any of the changes to the New York State election law.
Right. So we reached out to the Board of Elections and the Executive's office and the Office of OMB over there. Their new policy now is they're trying to sort of flatten the rates throughout the sort of 4-year roller coaster of prices that they have, because presidential year with multiple different primaries and almost everything on the ballot costs much more for them to put on than a year where just city council and the DA are up.
Is this our contribution to the county?
Correct.
That's how they charge it?
So even though
For a privilege.
they're essentially eating a lot of the cost this year for what New York State passed, and they're doing that for every municipality that they manage elections for.
Are they going to keep eating it?
Once
What'll
that
happen is one year it will drop down below this and we'll pay more than what our fair share is. And they're trying to make it a smooth for budgeting tools. Let's just say the smaller villages and towns, they didn't like the spikes from 60,000 to 90,000. Okay, so they're just keeping it level.
and they'll readjust every 4 years as they need to.
Is the state going to contribute anything to the municipalities or the counties for the extra, like the 10-day schedule and things that are going to cost is this another unfunded mandate, I guess?
That's what it looks like. They might pass something. They may have already passed something, and I just don't know about it. But it really doesn't affect us in our election costs, where the county's going to charge us this flat rate. And they stayed true to that this year, even though they're on the hook for a lot more than what they normally would be.
And this sort of like flattening over 4 years, is it flat and then it kind of plateaus, or is it sort of like gradually? I'm just wondering when we're going to see the effect of all this
I
additional
think this
cost.
is the third year of this.
In the third of our 4-year cycle. Okay.
And I assume we would see an increase at the end of that 4-year cycle.
If I'm not mistaken, a couple years ago, wasn't this like about 90,000,
Yes.
$90,000?
At the last presidential one, it was more.
So this is for next year, which is a presidential.
Right, what I'm saying is they're going to get a better picture of it after next year, how much money it's really costing.
Right.
How's animal control going?
Good.
Keeping me under control.
You want to pull a rabbit out of your head?
Keep in mind, it wasn't that long ago that we actually had 3 dog patrol officers on duty. Some of them were, part-time, but, we basically have one guy that, answers all our calls, and when he's not there, the BPD is gracious enough to pick up the slack, nights and weekends, things like that. And we deliver almost 300 dogs a year to the dog shelter up on Front Street. And it's mostly pit bulls. A lot of pit
Yeah,
bulls.
it's a lot of pit bulls. Your drug dealer's favorite dog, right?
Thank you. Do we have any fees to talk about?
No.
Nothing's really changed much.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve pages 14, 23, 24, 31, and 63.
We amended one of those.
As amended.
Yeah.
I'll second
Well,
that.
once it's amended, it's amended.
Okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
We did it, I'm sorry, I did that for a motion.
I said
You
I
made the
second
motion,
that
you second,
motion.
okay. All in favor, everybody voted for.
All right.
So, we'll move on.
Thank you.
What page do we move on to?
Mayor's office, 15 through 16, 45, 66, 84, and 83.
Good evening.
Now I know where that pumpkin comes
It went right to me. We'll start off with pages 15 and 16. Some adjustments in some of the non-personnel lines regarding EBARDA, just some slight adjustments in travel and training. We boosted youth programming by $1,000 to assist with the annual backpack giveaway partnership we do with CARES. That was one of the more significant changes. In the personal services line, we've adjusted to 40 hours a week, assistant to the Mayor for Youth and Neighborhood Affairs, based on the volume of work that that position does, as well as the need to attend a half dozen or so more neighborhood type meetings across the city. We've seen really for the time that I've been here, the closest and most direct working relationship with those entities, in large part due to that position and that person attending them on a regular basis and following up directly with their concerns. I can pass this around. Actually, the position made I don't think it's the most recent, but a recent Southside Neighborhood Assembly newsletter. There was a couple different neighborhood concerns that were brought directly, and they were able to be taken care of quickly. So again, part of that is attending those meetings and hearing directly from residents. First Ward, South Side, North Side, Safe Streets, as well as principal liaison with the school district.
Do people use that park over there?
What part?
The Southside Park?
Southside Commons.
Commons.
Not that I can tell, but I think its best days could be ahead of it. I mean, I think that in a good urban environment where you've got a lot of businesses, it could be something that's utilized. I think the parking is utilized, it's there.
Park is utilized. They use it in the summertime for a movie once in a while.
Oh, do they?
It's a shame.
And then
that
I
it's
see
not
people
being-
going there for lunch.
It's
having
nice.
lunch.
It's
like
like
It's
another
nice, but you
capital.
know what,
It was a
there's
beautiful
there's
area.
nothing to attract you to it. I mean, there's just, you know, there's nothing there to, other than, you wanna sit down somewhere maybe and read a book?
I sit down and like I said, I've seen people go there and have lunch at the table. And once in a while,
I
they'll
was
have
curious
maybe
about it, I was just curious.
Yeah.
family moving at lunch.
The hole in the wall was supposed to be able to take advantage of it by having access to that, where they could actually serve food out there. Something did not work out. I'm not sure exactly what it was.
What's the community outreach line, Jared?
We can fund various things. We've used it for our Chow Global Market in the past. We also used it most recently to, in part with Parks Fund, mural project at West End Park with BOCES. Various, anything community related that we can, that needs some extra funding, or if it's a youth program, that type of thing. But I think the Chow has been the principal historically the last couple of years we've used it for.
Do we have any, I mean,
Well, there was nothing expended in 2018.
Yeah,
I
There's
just
been
did
nothing
bill
expended
today.
this year.
How much was it for?
Yeah,
I
it's
think it was-
2,500
I think
for
it was
the
transferred.
West End Park,
Oh,
just
okay.
today, yeah. And drive over there, it's pretty neat what they did.
thanks.
So, yeah, a lot of times we may have some in CDBG and need $500 or $1,000 to fill in the gap.
Okay, every year we're tasked with the mayor's salary at this time. So we reached the 72.5, I believe, at the same time that we did the council. Didn't we do the mayor's for 5 year? So much raises.
Yes, so we reached that plateau in 2019.
We did.
Yes.
And so, again, it's another job that it's very, very important to, you know, who's running the city. One of the things is trying to get good candidates that have a family, that are able to come out of the private sector and run for a job like mayor. So, although 72.5 is a good salary, I still think it could be increased for the next, going down the road. I mean, we're gonna be up for, Rich's term limited, David's term limited, so.
Right now, you're really doing 1 year at a time. I
1 year
will
at a time.
suggest to city council next year that they think about the 4-year term after that and make that decision so it's a full year before anybody's running again.
I would say that should be our strategy, that, and I think we should have listened to Ken a lot sooner on this in general.
should.
But
Listen, we just didn't act.
sure, but you know, I would say, you know, you keep it where it is now, and then let the next council make a long-term designation on where that should
Should
happen.
we have to pass a resolution to provide for a cyclical raise rather than every year?
Right now, what the ordinance says is you do it every year as part of the budget, right? The suggestion has been made in the past, amend that, so you're doing it, well, as Chris said, it was very low at one point. I think at one point the mayor was like the 150th highest paid employee in the city, right? And so back in, may have been 2014 or so, it was a 3% increase per year until it reached the plateau of at least $72,000. That it reached in 2019, right? So the current term only has 2 years left in it. So I think you need to address, I think this council needs to just address next year.
Sure.
Next year's council will address 2021 and, to me, 2022 through 2026.
Right.
That would be my recommendation.
So I would like to recommend, we gave a 2.5 to the clerk and the assistant deputy clerk. I think this year I would feel comfortable giving 2.5 to the mayor, only because, you know, it's not just the mayor, but it's the position that we're going to give it to, although I think he's doing a fantastic job and certainly.
I don't think that that's a good idea, because as we've been saying, that 2.5% increase that we would be giving right now is just for a year. So we basically, it is clearly to a specific person and to a specific mayor. If we just
Well,
keep it where it is now.
It was last year too, and it was when we gave.
But that was part of a larger resolution or ordinance rather.
Not last year.
Yes, it was.
Because I think it was over last year.
It was,
No.
it was part of the larger ordinance last year.
Correct.
It was.
It reached,
But it should not have stopped in the middle of a term.
yeah.
That was the point.
And I think
And
that
it
that
wasn't
should be
intended.
addressed with the next council. They can do a 4-year ordinance that, you know, either keeps it the same or increases it at a few percent a year or something like that, you know, for the next mayor, whoever it may be, without knowing whether it's gonna be a Democrat or a Republican, and then and you know, you do that. In this scenario, you basically are just changing it for 1 year, and I don't think you have that. I think you do have politicization there.
Not necessarily, because it's up to the council at this point how we've been doing it until they pass it where it's going to be, you know, if it's going to do a cost of living increase every year, however they're going to do it later on, if they want to get the politics out of it. But at this point, it's our job to address this.
Right.
And I don't see why he should be left behind at this point.
He just got a $10,000 raise over the course of a few years, so I wouldn't say that he's being left
Well,
behind.
it's not he, the position got the 3% starting at, it was in the 60s.
We were trying to bring them up to speed, I think.
Bring them up to speed at what it is.
That ordinance was actually 6 years
Comparative
ago.
salaries.
Yeah,
That was
so,
6 years ago?
Yeah, it's 2013.
So it's
I'm just
3% for 6 years straight.
to get it to 72.
yeah,
That was
so,
in 2015, so that was.
I would agree with Chris. I think that
At 2% I'd be fine.
he's doing a good job, and I think we should reward that. We gave 2.5% to the clerk, and the
So
assistant clerk,
2%
I
is
think we should-
1454.
I think we should give 2.5%.
There's
Yeah.
another aspect of it too, that the mayor participates in the health insurance, and he has to pay whatever the highest percentage anybody pays. So next year, his is gonna definitely go up, I don't know to what, but it's his percentage of health insurance
yeah,
will go up.
I mean, he's the CEO of this,
But this isn't a
Great
private
municipality.
corporation, you know,
Well,
if
He's the equivalent.
you can't have money being, you know, the main factor drawing someone to a public job, especially an elected job, you know.
It's a reality, though. It's a reality, though. And yeah, I agree. I hear what you're saying, but it's a reality.
You know,
It is a reality.
if making $72,000 and saying, oh, you know what, I'm not gonna run for mayor because it doesn't make $77,000, I don't know if that's like the type of person that we want to be.
everyone has to make a living. And what you're doing is you're giving up 4 years of your life when you're running and you win. 4 years of your life to go and do this. Now, if someone, what we end up getting is career politicians that run for government and job after job. And that's not what you want. I mean, you want to be able to get people out of the private sector to say, you know, I would like to serve my community and also be able to take care of my family. And be able to make comparable to what I make, at least that I can make in the private sector. I'm not saying 2.5 is a cure. It's what it is. It's in line with what we're doing, and then we do it this year as part of our job of addressing that. And next year, the council can make the rules for the following 4 years, or when the next mayor's race is going to be. And I just think that I would feel comfortable given that position a 2.5% increase this year. That's.
Yeah, I agree with something that Ken had said earlier about the city council thing. I think that in an election year, it's going to look political, even if that's not what you
It's
need.
not an election year for the mayor.
I understand that, but it's a big election year for the city government with the city council turning over. I'm just saying it's going to look political.
How is it
Okay.
going to look political? He's
What's
not.
that?
You're talking about it will be political for city council, because some people will be on the next year's council, some of us are not. So if somebody that voted for it said, yeah, I want the increase, and they may be there serving next year, that would be political.
The reason,
But the mayor he's going to be here regardless.
the reason that it's political is because right now we are a body making a decision solely for the next year of a mayor. We know who that mayor is. We know what party that mayor is a part of. We know who the mayor is. That's why it's political. If the decision is made for next year about the next 4 years, it's a council that doesn't know who the mayor is going to be for the next 4 years, whether it's a Democrat or Republican. So the decision that they make can be apolitical. By definition, the decision that we would have to make right now is to a certain
We could sit here and debate this all night.
We made this decision.
We're on different sides of the
before.
fence, though, so let's do a straw poll.
Yeah, I mean, we did make this decision before with a different, when I was here with a different mayor, different party. I mean, I sat through 3 administrations, and these conversations come up. They may not always feel comfortable, but they need to be, decisions that should be made. Personally, I don't have a problem. I'm not going to lose any sleep if I give them a 2.5% increase for this year.
Can I just throw in that the problem became over a number of years is that this is what happens.
Right.
Is that people say, well, I don't want to do that for next year. Well, it becomes, and then that's how the mayor became the 150th highest paid person in the city.
Yeah.
So that's why Mayor Ryan tried to at least address it a little on his way out. It really had little impact.
When
it had little impact on him, but he wanted to try to make it more reasonable. But when you don't at least do CPI or average salary increase that everybody else is getting, that has that effect of now you're not treating the mayor the way you treat every other employee.
When Mayor Ryan took office, I think it was around 62,000.
It was, yeah.
And it was kept there for a while because the council was
Because-
doing the same.
because
what
they
you're
kept saying,
we're
no.
not going to give them a raise.
We don't want to do it on an annual basis because it becomes an argument.
And I think that was wrong.
Then we
That's
gave
the
him-
concern.
Then we did give him his 7,000 for the car that he never
Right.
took.
but-
Because he did what he said, well, I never took a car, can I at least get the $7,000 for
Yeah,
that?
and
So,
we gave them
we
that. That's
agreed
what
to
brought
that.
it up to 67.
That's what brought it up to 67, yeah, something like that.
But it was, that was wrong. We should have started that process back then.
And then your council made a great decision, which was, as the current mayor was outgoing, you did a long-term plan.
We should have made it longer, knowing that that it would fall in midterm. We didn't think about that. So
It
anyway,
should have been every 4 years, so that's what it should have been. So when that one should have started and
right.
ended
So
when he was running again.
so we kind of dropped the ball on this. Anyway, I'll keep my ground on that 2.5. I hope my colleagues can support.
I agree with 2.5%. So let's do a straw poll on this, right?
We can vote.
We can vote right
Make a
now.
motion and vote.
Sure. We need 4 votes, Ken?
We need 4 votes, and then what you did last time, you said let's take a straw poll, and the majority, we'll go with the majority. If you want to do that again, I mean, so that we are, we're consistent.
I'll be voting no on this one.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So you're voting no.
I'll be voting no too.
So then I'll be voting yes. But what if we dropped it down to 2%?
Can we get more?
Well, what you can do is if you simply don't pass the page, it will come up again. Hopefully you'll get another council member and you see whether or not
All right, so what
it
do we
changes
do
the
with page?
outcome. For right now, it just,
Close the
if
page
nobody makes a
number?
motion to move the page, just move on, and when you make
And
your
bring it
motion,
back.
don't include this. It'll still be on the agenda
Don't include
for Wednesday.
Page 15.
Don't include page 15.
Are there any other
Pages,
questions?
well, it's pages 15 and 16.
Sans the mayor's
Right.
salary?
Not for me.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's yes.
So
That way,
so
if it
so
can be
that
a
I word this
council-
properly. and what do I-
No, because when you make a motion later on, you're going to move to approve pages 45, 66, 84, and 83. That motion, if it is approved, all those pages will be approved. 15 and 16 will not have been. They'll come back on Wednesday night. You don't have to make a motion to hold or anything else. Just, it wasn't approved yet?
So I make a motion to approve.
Well, we
haven't-
through all the
haven't
other
gone
pages
through.
yet.
Oh, I'm
just
sorry,
started.
okay, yeah. So we're at,
Page 45.
45.
Association News, New York Conference of Mayors.
That's normal. 66.
What
Bill
is-
paid every year.
What's that?
It's the first bill paid every year.
Yeah.
What is the, like, NICOM's status as an organization? Are they a nonprofit organization, a government entity? Like, what's their?
I'm not sure their status. I mean, they're a municipal, they're like the New York Association of Counties, yeah.
Do we know what kind of not-for-profit they are?
Government association.
I'm just curious. I don't know any. I mean, I reached out to NICOM a while back about like taking part in the training for municipal employees, and I never heard back. But that's my only familiarity with them, or not municipal employees, for government elected officials. No, I'm just curious. You know, who we're paying the money to. I guess a lot of money.
I don't know off the top of my head.
I mean, you just want to know if they were not-for-profit?
Well, no, you guys just said they're non-profit. I'm
Yeah.
just wondering what kind of, like a 501c4, 501c6, but like what do we?
I don't know that. I
It's a
think
New
they're
York
looking it up.
Conference of Mayors.
It can't be.
Any mayor of village, city can be a
That's the way
member.
it is. Negotiate something else
Yeah, they
today.
have to, yeah.
I mean, do they do lobbying? Are we paying into like a lobbying thing? Or?
They meet and they discuss a lot of different things, and issues that each city municipality may have, and brainstorm different things. I mean, they have half a dozen.
That's one of the reasons why I took the job for myself.
Yeah, no.
Because there's no city council technically.
They do advocacy on behalf of, I mean, their mission statement, since 1910, they've been around.
Yes.
I'm not sure their legal framework.
Huh? You don't have a meeting Wednesday?
If you go on their
What
website,
did
you
you
can
say?
sign up for
Wednesday.
get information,
You made a mistake.
like when they have
Sort of
different
schedule.
training courses and stuff like that. I get them like every 2 weeks.
I'm sure the
We didn't do,
Attorney
we didn't do any of
General's
this.
office
We
has
didn't
on
do
file
Ken's or
their
the firemen's. And then we did the police.
nonprofit status.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I was just curious to know what sort of,
I'm
you
here
know,
Thursday.
what sort of activities we're supporting with the $12,000.
Yeah, I mean, they're an incredible resource for information from Chuck's standpoint as it relates to municipal finance across New York State, developing trends, comparisons with other municipalities. We get a load of news, and they are eyes and ears in Albany as it relates to legislation that affects cities and villages. The mayor is poised to be the president of the New York Conference of Mayors in May, actually, next year, to lead their statewide efforts as well. So it's an organization for mayors, village officials, city officials, to advocate for Albany, advocate in Albany on issues that matter, share best practices, that type of thing.
I think they also make everybody aware of what the governor's looking to pass. Okay, so if there's some legislation out there, they understand it, and they ask everybody to give you an understanding.
Do they employ any lobbyists in their advocacy work, or do they just do sort of like, hey, mayors, contact the governor about this bill on Facebook?
I don't know if they have registered lobbyists working for them. I know the executive director, Peter Baines, is a full-time staff person. They have other full-time staff. But I'm not sure.
They do like salary surveys and all kinds of stuff.
I'm not here. I'm in Springfield. I'm here to Jamestown.
What's going on?
Nothing.
Oh,
It's not your concern.
I thought you were trying to participate in the conversation.
Is that kind of the principal question?
I'm just curious to know what we're contributing to, I guess, with the 12,000.
How long have we been members in Ninth?
Probably 50 years. However long it's been
I mean,
around.
Al Libis is a prior president of NICA. Actually, every Juanita Crab, Al Libis,
So,
Matt
we're
Ryan
going-
was not.
we're going
She,
back-
Mayor.
We're going back 30, almost 50 years.
Maybe longer.
Yeah, it could be longer, yeah, at least 50 years.
They've been around since 1910. They've got their mission statement online.
Dan, what are you looking for? What do you want to know here? I'm not sure what you're asking for.
I mean, don't need to get defensive, I'm just
I'm not
asking.
defensive, I'm just wondering what you're
Okay.
looking for.
I'm just asking some questions.
Yeah, if you
Yeah, I'm not
wanted-
sure there's anything I can tell you that a
Right.
Google search.
A Google
No.
search would have answered your questions before you came in.
Yeah. I appreciate the concern. I mean, it's not $12,000, and I would just say that they're an important organization that benefits Binghamton City government and its leaders, and they've done trainings here at City Hall. The mayor attends their trainings and conferences where he interfaces with other mayors, Albany officials, and is very productive in doing that.
They had like finance training classes last weekend too, if you want to go to up in Albany.
Another one thing they advocate is not having unfunded mandates.
I'd like to,
That's really helped a lot.
I'd like to separate page 84 from the other pages. I've been accusing myself from that page.
And that is because of Luma?
Yep.
All right. Should we vote? Is there any discussion on page 84?
No.
No.
I just have a quick question about 83 with the main library.
Well, because he's
Well, he wants
recused
to vote,
himself, I
then
want
Oh, he wants
to vote
to
on it.
separate it and vote it now. Okay.
Well, I don't want to vote now this time.
But
Well,
let's
we
get
can
it.
do it now and just get it out of the way. There's no questions on it.
I'll make a motion to accept page 84.
Okay, all in favor? Or
Aye.
second first?
Second.
Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
And one abstention, so it passes 4 with 1 abstention. All right, so you have a question on 83?
Yeah, the proposed budget for the main library is going up. I was just curious what that was about.
So,
That's the wrong person.
The county.
This is what we get billed from the county for cemetery.
So, and we don't know why
So-
they're raising it?
no, it's actually raised based on CPI.
Okay.
And there's a negotiation between the library director and OMB and the city coming up with what we believe to be a fair number based on the CPI. This year it's increasing from 738,000 to 750. But what's interesting is that, and I want council to be aware of this, I mean, the city contribution to the downtown library is very significant. Over the last 10 years, from 2010, it used to be 652,000 to 738. So essentially, in the last 10 years, the city has spent $6.9 million supporting operations in the downtown library. It's a heavily visited attraction, but the city is in large part a reason for its success. And as council members, you should take pride in that, and also know that that is a huge investment, and that we should be interested in the goings on over there and see any ways that we can improve it. I have regular contact with the library director and to facilitate ways and improvements, whether it's trimming some trees on their property with our tree crew on the street side or other type of things.
Tell me something in this period. How does the county, you said it's a formula they use, that they charge other municipalities or just the city?
Just the city, and it's just for the downtown library. When the new structure was built in 2000, there was an amendment to an existing agreement regarding funding for the library, which used to be the Carnegie Library downtown. And there was a specific price that was set that would be the city's contribution to then grow over time based on consumer price index. And that's where we're at.
But it has anything to do with operating expenses?
It contributes directly to operating expenses, but it's not based on a percentage of them. Our contribution is simply based on that original number
Right.
that was.
So what if the county, this is hypothetical, I'm
Yeah.
not saying that this is going on. What if the county cuts services and expenses to that library, but increases our fee?
That could happen. And in fact, there's been instances where the county has budgeted money to go to the library and then not spent that money, meaning that the city's share of an annual operating expense represent a larger portion than what was originally budgeted.
Right.
Is there any way to tell that that library is being used like it was 10 years ago? I mean,
It is.
it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is
It
busy.
is. It's a busy
Well,
library.
good.
It
Libraries
attracts
like
more
that are
people
getting more
annually
traffic
than
now.
That's
almost
good.
any other thing in the city. It's heavily used.
Well, that's good.
But I also think it's city responsibility to make sure that things are operating properly and they are making upgrades.
Sure. We're a significant partner in the running of that.
Exactly.
What's their annual budget? We have to budget with this $700,000?
We're less than half the
Less
budget.
than half the budget? Okay.
But I won't give you. I won't give you a guess, but we're less than half the budget.
Okay, all right.
It's a large building.
It is, no doubt. It's a nice looking building too.
So, what do we have to do with pages 15 and 16? Do we have to make a
You're not
motion,
doing
or just
anything.
ignore those and then make a motion on the rest of them?
84 is already passed, right?
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's done, so you want to call pages 45, 66, and 83.
I'll make a motion to accept page 45, 66, and 83.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? Seeing none, that passes.
And 15 and 16 are coming up on Wednesday.
We come up tomorrow.
They're coming up tomorrow.
If you
Where-
come up
No,
tomorrow,
Wednesday.
get it?
Wednesday is the callback pages,
Wednesday's the callback page.
right? Somebody, I mean, if you end up having.
Can we change that?
Yes.
Okay.
You can, yes, if you have a quorum, or if you have an additional person tomorrow, and you say, all right, why we have 6, the
We
chair
can
can
recall
call
that
those
page.
pages again.
Okay.
All right. And then we're,
How much?
okay. Ken, you're up.
I'm up.
Open 25, 26, 191, 192.
I see. I see.
Wouldn't you?
That's the-
advise
that's the
against
most-
that?
Wow.
Wouldn't you?
How many years have I been doing that?
That's the most transparent thing I've seen in a while.
Ken, I'm so surprised.
I've done that every year.
Every year that I've ever
I think for
remembered.
13 years I've done that every time. Well, remember, we used to always bring food. We used to have a night where everybody bought food, so I just started bringing candy, and then I just started bringing it for mine.
So what's the
Greg,
significant change in your?
real quick, so on the law department budget, the first thing, it says legal type is vacant. That's not true. It was only vacant for about 2 weeks, but it happened to be the 2 weeks that they were preparing this. That position is filled.
Do we have to make an amendment?
No.
No, it's
Okay,
not
so
open.
anything can be filled. It's just- I always like to point out the third line, overtime. There is no overtime in the corp council budget. If you would like to include overtime and add another 100,000 for Brian and Sharon, please do, but nobody ever takes me up on that.
We'll think about it.
On office supplies, you'll notice that it's going from 1,000 to 1,300, but when we get to the risk management budget, there's 1,000 there in office supplies, it's going to 0. So actually, we're cutting $700 there, not adding 300. Under legal services, about 3/4 of the way down, that had been 20,000. Controller's office asked if we could drop that to 15. We've already spent 15 this year. We're hopeful that next year maybe we'll be able to, keep it around 15, primarily because of our our additional capacity that we have, particularly with Matt, who has a lot more experience than any other person we've had in that position before.
How's he working out?
As a fourth attorney, he's fabulous.
Good. Great.
But that's why we're willing to see if we can do that. We may come back to you late next year and say that it didn't work out and we do need some more money for outside counsel. If you go to the second page, on page 26, also because we have another experienced attorney, we do increase the travel and training and the sub-dues and membership. Unlike counsel, we have to do training every 2 years. Right? You need 24 to 32 continuing legal education credits, and the city does pay for that, and memberships like the Broome County Bar and New York State Bar. One of the reasons that we join those is because you then get discounted fees for your training that's required. So actually, it kind of pays for itself.
No, it's candy.
Any questions on the law department?
Oh,
Go ahead.
I don't.
Oh, I was just gonna ask about the personnel services. Is the jump result of the legal typist going from vacant to fill? There's a
Oh, from what it was last year?
jump of $40,000, yeah.
The jump of what?
Am I looking at this wrong?
You on page 25?
I'm on page 25. Am I on page 25?
Yeah. It's a jump of 36,000 personnel services.
Yeah, he's right.
It says 206,000 up to 246. Oh, you're okay. So you're looking at the adjusted, but even
Still.
I'm just wondering what the.
Number one, the legal typist used to be paid 1/3 out of personnel and
Yes.
2/3 out of corporation counsel. It is now a 100% paid out of corporation counsel position. The other is the assistant corporation counsel that makes 45,000, used to be paid 100% out of the insurance
Out of
fund.
the insurance fund.
It is now 50% out of this fund and 50% out of the insurance fund. Those are your changes.
Okay.
Yeah, the only change in salary was the legal typist that we did this summer, because that was the lowest paid job in City Hall. The risk management budget, I would like to remind people there's an assistant engineer in that budget. I think that when the city engineer was here, that was mentioned, because the risk management is part of the insurance fund, and so we allocate some of the salaries, because then the insurance fund gets billed to all the other funds. Is that a fair explanation? Right, so the overtime there is for the engineer only, not for court counsel. About halfway down, the general operating supplies, you saw that was 1,000, that went to 0. That's what I talked about earlier. Insurance, that's our insurance, it is what it is.
It's a $20,000 increase.
Yeah.
There's some additional insurance that we're gonna get next year.
And otherwise, there are no changes in the risk management budget.
Ken, can I ask a quick question, jumping back to 25, sorry. How much extra time do Brian and Sharon put in? You were talking about overtime. I mean, I'm just curious, because I don't track their hours. Do they track the extra time that they do, or is it just sort of
No, they don't, because
mysterious?
there's no reason to. Sorry. Sorry. No, because they don't get overtime, so they don't track that additional time. But these are people who sometimes work till 1 o'clock in the morning, who work on weekends. So there's a lot of extra time.
Would there be any harm in tracking that extra time so that we could look at it next time and have a sense of?
The salaries have always been adjusted with that understanding that they're professionals, this is their job, this is what they do.
Okay, so you weren't actually asking us for more.
No, I always point out that they don't get it.
Okay. Got it.
Any more questions on 191 or 192?
Make a motion to accept pages 25, 26, 191, and 192.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
There's more pages.
More pages.
Oh, there is?
189
Yeah, 189 and 190.
What is it again?
and 190.
All right, we can accept these pages, so.
189 is the salary, and 190 are the revenues.
If you look on the front page, on page 189, we're appropriating $405,000 of fund balance. This fund has like $2.5 million worth of fund balance, okay? Mainly due to when we were self-insured for workers' comp, to working that money off, okay? So I used $400,000 of this that affects all the funds, it helps all the funds out.
But how much of the, is in the fund balance you said?
405,000 where it says,
Right, I see that, but you said there's, you're taking it out of fund balance.
Yes, there's $2.5 million in fund balance.
Oh.
It was a reserve specifically for this.
No,
Right.
we got a
Okay.
reserve specifically for that, one litigation thing that we lost and we money out of the deal and it's still out there.
Yes.
Money out there for that.
On page 190, what accounts for this downward trend in the interfund revenues?
That's because I'm using 405,000, if you do that 405,000, I would bring it back up.
Okay, and we took around that much out last time.
All right, I'll try again. Make a motion to accept page 25, 26, 191, 192, 189, and 190.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, we close that portion of the budget and we'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll tell you, make the motion.
Second. We're adjourned.